Good morning, I'm Paul CHEK. Welcome to heaven once again. Today I thought I'd share another one of Arnold Patton's universal principles with you. Recently I shared universal principle number 13, and I realized when somebody, a nice lady, asked me if I could share universal principle number 4 in another video, which I'm going to do today, that she is probably not likely to have the same universal principles I do. I have an old set with 24. The ones on his website are also found in his book, The Journey, which is an excellent book, The Journey by Arnold Patton. And so I have printed those off, which are right here. And so today I thought I would share some insight with number 4. I figured if this lady asked, there must be some good reason, and usually when one person asks, a lot of people have the question themselves. So here we go. Arnold Patton, universal principle number 4, there is nothing outside of us. In order to have our human experiences, we have created the apparent reality that we are living outside the oneness. That there are things and people that can affect us without our consent. The truth is that there is nothing outside of us. All that we see is ourself. This becomes our new reality when we open the belief in separation and accept the truth that we are one. Now, I understand that some of these things can be hard to comprehend in a way that you can use them in your daily life. And there's often stages of development that we have to go through so we can even understand a statement like this. See, the people that write things like this down have progressed through a tremendous amount of growth and development as a human being. So they're like old redwoods writing messages to younger redwoods or saplings. Yet the wisdom can be so deep that if a person's not ready for it, it actually is so meaningful that it has no meaning to them because they don't have enough life experience to wrap their head around the depth of the message. So right now I'm going to break this down a little bit in hopes that people that don't really see between the lines can pick up some of the deeper meanings here. In order to have our human experiences, we have created the apparent reality that we are living outside the oneness. It means, spiritually or metaphysically speaking, if God is God, or even if the universe is your highest principle, it means that we are speaking of all that is interconnected and codependent upon each other for its existence. The sun is millions of miles away, but we're highly interconnected and codependent upon each other for our existence. Therefore, you could say that we're all one because we all have oneness within the sun itself. If the earth was to lose the sun, well, in about 8 minutes it would be frozen solid, so we would all be having one experience together. So there's an example of oneness. We all need the sun, we're all on the same planet, we're all subject to the same overarching or governing forces, and therefore, if you go back and say, well, what's the sun dependent upon for its existence? Well, it's the galaxy. And then if you go back, it's the super galaxy, then it's the super galaxy, then it's the universe. So you can take this from a physical perspective. All things physical are interrelated with each other, even through spatial relationship. We're here, the sun's there, that's a spatial relationship. Or you can take the metaphysical, which means beyond the physical, and you can say, well, all things physical that can be known or related to, such as this rock, or weighed or measured, are actually effects. Metaphysical says the effect is the stone, but what's beyond the stone or before the stone? What created the stone? So metaphysically, whatever created the oneness of the universe, one verse song, is also the source of all things, and therefore that which appears is also an expression of that which is not seen. So if what we see as appearance as the universe is a functional whole, then it implies that the energy that created it is also a functional whole. So in order to regain the clarity on that. In order to have our human experiences, we have created the apparent reality that we're living outside the oneness. So what does he mean by that? Well, you might be fighting against nature. Nature's cruel. Burn the trees down. Get rid of the poisonous bugs. Spray the hell out of them. These are all examples of a materialistic point of view that separates you from the oneness. Oh, wait a minute. We poison the soil, but we forgot. We drink the water and eat the food. Oh, darn it. So that goes to show you how deep into the acts of separation such an individual has become, which metaphysically means they're sleeping. they're having they're not awake yet. It's like somebody who's in a coma, and eventually they wake up, oftentimes when they get cancer, and realize they've been eating the food they've been poisoning to try to save money, and they've been believing things they read in the newspaper instead of paying attention to what's actually happening in their own life. So that's the spiritual crisis everybody goes through at some level or some degree, is waking up to the truth of yourself. Next, he says that there are things and people that can affect us without our consent. Basically, in a nutshell, what he's saying is we have to choose to get upset. We've got to choose to find the humor in a situation or not. We have to choose to look for the possibility instead of the problem in a situation or not. Right? It takes a lot of maturity to see problems as opportunities. I know in my life it's been an interesting journey, and it's I could say each year I grow more mature. I am more patient and more willing to see that the problem is like the end of a cat's tail. If you step on it, the other end yells. So by the same token, if your problem is you're not making enough money, well, instead of seeing it as a problem, pull on the tail. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What things can you change in your life? Where are you wasting potentially useful time, etc.? So the problem gives the solution. The point being is that when we let other people create problems for us, we have to let them do it. If somebody says that you're unattractive, you can choose to be upset, or you can choose to check in with your own sense of self-confidence. Well, when I look in the mirror, I don't see someone that's unattractive. Therefore, this person has every right to see whatever it is that they want to see. We wouldn't be upset if we offered them a piece of chocolate cake and they said, I don't like chocolate, even though we love chocolate. So by the same token, if they look at you and don't see attraction, maybe they don't like chocolate cake either, but instead we often let that give us an ulcer. So what Arnold Patton's saying is, your first step to growth is not to see yourself as separate from everything else or anyone else. Your second step is to realize that you're the one making the judgment as to whether any one thing or event is good or bad, and that's up to you. The truth is that there's nothing outside of us. All we see is ourself with a capital S. What he means is, once you go back to first cause, then there is no ego self. Just like an ant colony is a living being, and the ants don't function with individual identity. Just like your whole body breathes, and a whole ant colony colonizes, feeds, moves, does the things they need to do, then when we're looking at the oneness of us as a self, we are all expressions of the one self. The same energy that makes the trees grows, makes infants grow into children, into adolescents, into adults. So what he's saying is, once you realize that you are part of the garden and you're conscious enough to know it, that you look around and instead of seeing things to kill or things that you're afraid of, you see parts of yourself that you can learn to understand. And when you come to the realization that the self, the little self, here me, Paul, and the big self, all that is necessary for survival and for the experience of life are expressing each other, then we find ways to make the two more harmonious, such as just not poisoning the land, or recycling and composting, and not being obsessive with trash, and considering the animals' needs, and thinking about the soil and not poisoning the water. These are things that show an awareness of self at a capital S, S-E-L-F. This becomes our new reality when we open the belief in separation and accept the truth that we are one. When Arnold Patton uses the term open the belief, what he means is look into it honestly and openly. Byron Katie would call this inquiry, to inquire and to ask yourself, is it really true? So Arnold Patton says when we actually open the belief in separation, if we're honest, we find out that it's really a mind virus. It's not true. It may have created an act of separation that was necessary at one time for our survival, but it is actually an illusion that does not support your growth and development very far if you're not careful. So, opening our challenging beliefs is really one of the hallmarks of true spiritual development. If you're not willing to look openly and honestly at your challenging beliefs, then you're probably enjoying the experiences you're having far too much. And hopefully you will learn to, or we'll all learn to open them before we're in pain. So that's my little message from heaven for today. Believe me, I practice this stuff all the time. And hey, if you think CrossFit is tough, or Russian kettlebell training is tough, or being an Ironman triathlon is tough, wait till you start honestly trying to apply these things and really devoting yourself to becoming more conscious each day. You'll realize not only are those physical challenges easier to deal with, but you'll realize that oftentimes we're wasting valuable time doing physical things as distractions to our own spiritual growth. Because as I've said to a lot of weightlifters, who cares if you can squat 1,000 pounds if you still can't get along with your wife and effectively father your children? So at some point we all have to decide where to invest our time and energy for true growth. And hey, I'm almost 52, so it's natural for me, but if I can encourage the younger ones to slow down a little bit and pay attention when it hurts, because that's the time it's a good time because you're motivated to pay attention, then things get smoother and the world gets more beautiful. So look forward to sharing with you next time.